Okay, well, obviously you're about to make a big move.
Yes.
Can we talk about that on here?
We can talk. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can talk about it.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about that. But
Okay.
I also want to talk to you about your perspective on, like, being a pastor's kid.
Okay.
Because some people, like, you know, obviously, if you grow up in church, you know pastor's kid.
Right.
Some people, reviews are, hate it.
Yes.
And then, like,
Lots.
growing up, like, hate it, but then turn to love it. Some people, like, did you love it your entire life?
I loved
Or
it
what-
my entire life.
Okay, that's good.
I think my personality helped with that. Well, really, I feel like all of us kids loved it our entire
Yeah.
lives. But I also think it was really fun here. Everyone who worked here was really fun. I mean, I would come up, like my parents would pick me up from school and they would bring me straight back up here. And it was like Chris Hart and Chano Trevino and Brian Tyler. Like it was all like fun people who I'd want to hang out with anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, like I played Kim Possible, like a little computer game on Chris Hart's computer in that office. Like it's just, so I think that helped too. I think that if it weren't very fun people, I think there are sometimes that when a kid is just like put in childcare and then they're in there for, 6 hours and they are, it's just, I think that sometimes you can kind of feel like you are second fiddle.
Yeah.
But I feel like the church was their purpose that became our whole families.
Yeah.
Like it was like, no, we're doing this together.
Yeah.
Like all of us are doing this because I always feel like it's like a fourth sibling.
Yeah. That's so cute.
I do.
I love that.
I'm like,
Yeah.
because it is. It feels that way.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents still feel that way, you know? And so I think a lot of, I think it's also if the ego and the pride of the pastor is put in an incorrect way, I think that can really affect the kids too.
Yeah.
Because it just always feels like you're striving for something.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel the balance. It's never 50-50. You know what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes you'll give more to the church. It's like Easter. Like it's like you work way more because you're getting ready for Easter than you would just on a regular Tuesday. And so I don't think that's necessarily bad, but I feel like whenever there are pastors that it's like, there's never going to be like this. It's like there can always be more. I can always have more. I can always do more. And it's not necessarily because of like the Spirit is leading them to do that. I think that is where some kids can be like, okay, well, why did you even have me? Why did you just take the church? So it makes me sad that there are kids that don't. I also think there are a lot of pastors' kids that I think they struggle finding their identity just with the church in general. Yeah. Like it was like even interesting, like we went to a different church on Sunday. We went to church in Cincinnati on Sunday and it was awesome, but it's just so weird. Walking in, you don't know anyone. Yeah. Like, and no one's saying anything. And so I think sometimes people can think they don't like that, but I think that when you're not in that situation, I think a lot of like, when you get special treatment and then all of a sudden you don't get special treatment, I think a lot of kids would be like, what in the world? Yeah. And so I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that speaks to like Guts culture.
Yes.
Just like the health of it.
Yes.
Because it's genuinely, I say it all the time, but like is the most healthy church environment I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's just crazy, you know?
It is.
And I feel like the care and attention that you get, obviously you are a pastor's kid, so people are going to honor you because you're Pastor Bill's kid, but also it's like a genuine connection.
Yes.
And I feel like that's everyone at the church, like people care here.
Truly,
So I feel like it's a little bit different. That doesn't surprise me. Your answer doesn't surprise me because I do feel like it's a different environment.
Yes.
It's not the normal of like, you know.
Yeah.
And people are obviously going to have their opinions and like, oh, like whatever. There's obviously people that are going to be whatever.
Right.
But I feel like it's such a
there-
healthy environment.
Yes. Well, and they're like, I feel like it had to be. I think my parents did a good job of like trying to protect us, but also like prepare us.
Yeah.
Like, no one understood Guts. No one dressed the way that they do. It's not like it was now. Like in the 90s, it was everyone wore suits and ties and like looked their best. And not that he didn't try to look his best, but it was just like meant for the unchurched. And so I feel like we were so judged from the beginning that it was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. They're going to judge you. People aren't going to like it. People are going to think it's wrong, Yeah. And it's kind of like, but we're confident in what we do. So you got to go for it. You got to take take it in the chin and move on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that helped a lot also just like with life.
Yeah.
Because once we got to high school, like my sister, when she was in high school, there were these like boys that made t-shirts and it said like Guts Incorporated, and they were saying how like Guts was all about money, like it was a business, it was just trying to steal people's money or whatever, but they like wore it to Union High School to like be mean. And so I don't know, it's like, so I think that obviously was like sad to her, or like just embarrassing to her.
Well, and it's hurtful because you know, like, the truth.
Yes.
I can't imagine what that's like, like, being like, that is my dad, that is my family.
Yeah, it was just, like, wild. And it's like, what? You insecure high school boys. Like, how embarrassing for you. But, I mean, she's the best. Like, she didn't, like, if it bothered her, she did not let it know. And, I mean, she was, and I'm not just, like, saying this because she's my sister. Like, she was the most popular. She was homecoming queen. She did every single kind of sport. She was amazing. And so it was kind of like, okay, I'm still better than you. You know, like she doesn't think that way, but I do. Yeah. And like when I was in high school, there was this crazy thing that happened at the church that there was so much misinformation being sent out, things, you know, and it was just crazy. And my dad felt like the Lord was like, told him not to defend himself, like not to say anything. Because there was just like, it was a wild time. And I was in 9th grade and I literally had to have like principals walk me because I had my 6th hour was a sport. And so I had to go to the high school because I was at the I-High at Union. And I had to have principals like walk me to my car because there would be like news people trying to like,
what?
It was wild. It was wild. I love the attention though.
You're like, I can't speak.
I can't speak to it. I can't, but I can tell you what I'm wearing. No, but yeah.
That
and
is
so
crazy.
It was like wild. There are just like some wild things, but I think with it being like a spiritual place, I think that the devil's going to always try to get in different ways. There was one kid I'll never forget because when I went to Union, the I-High was 9th and 10th grade put together. And there was a 10th grade boy and he tweeted, this is when Twitter was really big. He tweeted that like my dad was going to go to prison or something.
Oh my gosh.
Like he needs to go to prison, all this stuff. And I remember I was so nervous to do it, but I walked up to him and I was like, hey, that's my dad. I know that like, you seem cool and like this is a big thing happening, but that's my dad and like I need you to take that down. Like that would obviously, and he like felt so bad. He was like, I'm so sorry, like I didn't like, but so it's just like weird things that you go through, but it's all like worth it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's, and so it was great. I never knew the church. Like the church was 3 when I was born. And so I never knew that before the church. And it was, I mean, we moved into this building, I think when I was, I was probably 8, maybe.
Yeah.
I think, 7 or 8. And so it was a great like childhood growing up. I loved it. I thought it was really, really fun. And I really do feel like it prepared me for like the real world too.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things people can say that would hurt my feelings. I also think like, kids, a lot of pastors' kids don't like it because you are kind of in the spotlight and you are put a little bit on a pedestal of like, if a pastor's kid gets in trouble or like find out they did something, I mean, I think people just want to take the pitchforks out and go. But I feel like my parents like prepared us for that. Like my dad was always like, don't ever do something that embarrasses God, the church, or me. Yeah. And I think that is a lot of pressure to have on a kid growing up. But it's like, I think if you're, and this is any kind of business or like whatever profession, but like you preparing your kid to deal with what you're going to, I mean, if you were like a high up lawyer that's like doing all of these really intense cases that are like in the media, you're gonna have to prepare your kid for that. Yeah. But it's worth it because that's the purpose of what you're doing. Yeah. And so I think that is where I think some pastors and even some parents just in general deal with their kids is like they almost feel bad for them for what they're putting their kid through. And I feel like my parents never, if they did ever feel bad, it was like, no, this is what we're called to do. This is worth it, and it's going to be worth it, and God is going to provide for us and take care of us. And so I think that helped a lot growing up. But it is a wild, like growing up environment.
I can imagine.
You're either expected to be wild or you're expected to be boring.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were some things I weren't invited to in high school. Like I would say my earlier years of high school, my junior and senior year, I feel like people would invite me to things. They just knew, like, I went to every party. I never drank in high school and it was mainly because my mom, she was just like, here's the deal. Dad does not care about your social life. I do. Like, I want you to go to these fun things. He does not care. And so if you never went to another school function or like social thing, he would not care. He would think that that was fine. So she's like, I'm in your corner. It wasn't like pitting me against my dad, but it was definitely like, I mean, she was saying
I feel like
the
that's
truth.
how moms and dads are in general. Like my mom was like, you get to do what you get to do because I am in your corner.
Exactly, because I'm helping you. And so she was like, but here's the deal. Me talking to you right now is your only warning. You missed curfew. We find out you were drinking. You're doing inappropriate things. Like, you're cut off because I have no leg to stand on, essentially.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, well, like I want to do these things. So I like never drank in high school. I drank a little bit in college, and people really took that crazy.
Yeah.
Like wild.
Yeah.
But,
I was going to ask, like, did you have a wild season? Like, do you ever feel like you felt like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get out so I can like breathe?
I don't think I felt that way. I don't think I realized that I felt that way maybe until I got to college. My personality is like, I just want to have fun. Yeah. Whatever I can do to have fun. And so like drinking seemed super fun to me. Like, I'm like, oh, it must be fun. These people are having a great time doing it. Yeah. And so I think my freshman year of college, I probably went like wild or whatever, but it wasn't anything crazy. No, I mean, I did underage drinking, so that's I don't condone that. But I don't think it was because I was like, I felt like my parents like had put me in a cage and I all of a sudden was let free. Yeah. I think that was my own dumb personality. Yeah. But so I think that, but then I went to ORU and I cheered, and I had like, it was less of like at OU, it was definitely more of a party environment. Oh, yes. You know,
it's so hard to find parties at ORU. They like don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like the athletes throw parties.
Yes. Yes. I think
that's about it. Like
that's about it. Yeah. And because
what can you do?
Exactly.
You can't go anywhere on campus.
Like, exactly. And so I think that helped a ton. But I also think if you're going to look for it, you're going to find it.
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever school you go to, things like that. I think it was a little bit more easier to find at OU.
Absolutely, yeah.
But no, I don't feel like there was ever like a crazy time or like anything like that. It was just like a typical, you know. And I feel like it was quick. Like it was one of those like, oh, I can just have just as much fun without it.
Yeah, yeah. That's such a good realization, though.
Yeah, it was great. And I feel like my parents, I mean, they definitely didn't, I don't think they appreciated it, but I think they probably had an idea. I don't think they're dumb. Yeah. But it wasn't like, well, like we're pulling you out of school or like anything like that. Because I do think parents can sometimes take it a little too far and then it goes the opposite way. But
well, and you're the baby too.
Yeah.
So
I
can imagine that's like,
oh yeah,
you just have a different relationship.
Yes.
With them, 1000%. Like compared to Taylor in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Taylor, he was the firstborn and like the son and all of that. And so he, that's already a different relationship than girls to boys. And then Brooklyn is, I keep making her sound like the perfect person, but she really kind of is.
I know. I feel like I've never like actually talked to her.
She is.
The way everybody describes her is literally like she's perfect.
The hardest worker. She's the most disciplined person I've ever met. This is a perfect example of Brooklyn. She made a bet with this boy in high school that one of them would break of not having soda. However long, like whoever broke first. And I think he broke within like a week, and she still to this day has not had a drink of soda.
What in the
No,
world?
literally. It's like, I think it's almost been like 20 years. Like,
It's crazy.
it's crazy. No, it's not
She
been 20
took
years.
it literal.
No, literally. I think it's like been 15 years. No, yeah. So
Wow.
like, she's just like that.
Yeah.
She's like all in. She's, I don't know. She's the best.
Did
But
y'all all get along growing up?
we did. We were 7 years apart. So I was
yeah.
like the very baby.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when I went to 6th grade, she went to college.
Whoa.
So yeah.
That in my head is
Oh
not
yeah.
computing.
And then me and Taylor are 10 years apart. So we are like very far apart. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like I was an only child for a lot of like
Yeah.
my growing up years. But I feel like that made me very close to like my parents.
Yeah.
We were close. We were just never in the same stage of life.
Yeah, that's hard.
So it was kind of hard. And then I think I was a brat some of the time and she was, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think, and so, but it was very fun growing up, but we just were never in the same stage of life.
Yeah.
And so then, and now we are very close.
Yeah.
Like me and Brooklyn talk every single day.
That's
we're
so
very
sweet.
close.
Yeah.
And I think also just realizing like, I remember one time I told my dad, I was like, well, you guys just want me to do everything that Brooklyn did. And he's like, you want to do everything Brooklyn did. We're not making you do anything. And
Yeah.
I was like, you're right. Like, it's because she's the best. Like, it just, and
That's
so
so
I
funny.
think once I realized that, and it was like,
That's a really good way to put it.
well, and it's like, there's no, the sister rivalry thing is just so, oh
Yeah.
gosh, it's so boring to me. Cause I'm like, there's so much more fun. It's like a sister relationship is just so
it's the best.
special.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think it's like, well, yeah, you want to be like your big sister, you should.
Yeah.
That's the point of
Yeah.
having a big sister. And so I think once, that was like a tiny stint of my life. And my dad
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
you do want to be like her. And I'm like, you're
Yeah.
right, I do. And
Yeah.
so we have a great relationship. But I was the baby. So I think that also added a lot of,
Yeah.
like stuff to it. But I also feel like it was interesting just like finding identity. When I was at ORU, I felt like every message was about identity and it
Yeah.
killed me. I was
Yeah.
like, why are we still talking about our
Yeah.
identity? Our identity's in Christ. That's it. Learn about Christ and then that's what your identity is.
For sure.
But I do think it was interesting trying to figure out, like, speaking of the move, like I post on my story, I put like 17-year-old Kennedy, like would be so
Yes.
proud.
Yeah.
Because truly every single thing I was like, I'm going to do fashion in New York. I'm going to work for like the government in DC. Like I love all of that kind of stuff. And I always wanted to move, always thought I would move far, all this stuff. And I just never did. It never ended up like not working out, but like I just never ended up doing it. I loved it. I like
Yeah.
ended up coming and doing the internship and like working at the church. And it was it was kind of like the sister thing. Once I took away the notion of like, you need to move away and have fun and create your own whatever, I really feel like I was like, no, this is amazing. Like I love this. Like, and so it's so funny now because I kind of did what I thought I wasn't going to do, but my life flourished.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you really have a piece about what you're supposed to do and you take a step and the Holy Spirit has you, you create such a phenomenal life that it's just like, gosh, why did I ever think that it could get better than this? But then you realize there are desires in your heart that you can, it just brings it out of you. Like I was talking to the School of Ministry, they were finishing up their last session and I was just like, when's the last time that you sat down and were quiet with God and said like, what are the desires of my heart? Like the true desires of my heart. And so I had them, like I played a worship song and I just had them like write it down. But I'm like, I think that sometimes the devil can convince us that it's selfish. It's like, well, that's not really a desire of your heart. That's a selfish desire or that's like whatever. And I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that God gives you the desires of your heart. He gave those to you. And so for us to ignore them or not care about them, like, or to be convinced or to be deceived by Satan that it's a selfish desire is just so incorrect. That's like getting a gift and being like, well, I'm not actually going to use this gift because I don't deserve it. It's like, okay, well, that's actually disrespectful to me who gave you the gift.
Yeah.
Like, and so
that's good.
I think that was a big realization in my life was just like, no, I have desires in my heart because God gave them to me. And then he's also faithful to complete those desires. And that's how I'm going to have this great life.
Yeah.
And I think once I like let go of that, well, this is selfish, or wanting more money, that's greedy. Like I'm being greedy, or I'm doing this, or I only want it for this. It's like once I let go of all of that, I really feel like God like can really propel you forward because you're not holding yourself back.
Yeah.
And so it's just so funny because I feel like this is finally a season of life that I haven't thought about moving one time. I'm like, this is great.
That is crazy how that works.
It is
so crazy.
wild. And so it was just funny. And, you know, when I told my parents about it, they're like, where did this come from? Like, what, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. I really don't. Because, like, my dad always says that I have, like, a wanderlust of life, which is not a bad thing. He says it like it's a bad thing. It's just so funny because it was like, I have no idea where this came from.
Yeah.
But like, there was just such a peace with it, and you walk it out, and it just, when you have an excitement for life or like a zeal for like what's happening, it's like, well, that's God.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to be doing. And
For
not
sure.
like an excitement of like, well, I'm going to grind this out so I can make more money. That like, yes, of course you making more money is exciting, but grinding it out is not what we're meant to do.
Yeah.
Like we're meant to work hard, but like, it's not meant to be like I'm going to push to make this happen. I'm going to shove this door open so I can walk through it. I feel like praying the prayer of open doors and closed doors, especially in like your 20s, I think is a really risky prayer. It's a worth it prayer, and you should 100% pray it. But if you're going to pray for that, then you need to be expectant and prepared for those open and closed doors. Because I was just talking to one of my like best friends about this, but her husband was going for a job and he didn't even want the job at first. It was like a random opportunity. He had to go through like 8 interviews, like something wild.
Wow.
And by like the 5th or 6th interview, it's like, I'm working so hard for this. Like I want it now. Like I want this job, all this stuff. And they ended up like not giving it to him. And it was around the same time that Dawson was like going through this interview process. Yeah. And he was like, she just said, like, I just remind him, like, listen, we prayed for open and closed doors. Like that is, we want the perfect will of God. We don't just want like what we want the perfect will of God. And so she was like, you know, and he was like, you're right. It just kind of stings, which is like, of course it does. It's like, we're human. It stings. So then when Dawson got like the yes, and it was like an open door, I remember telling him like, well, are you going to take it? And he's like, we prayed for an open and a closed door. Like this is an open door. And I was like, no, you're right. I was just testing you. I was just checking. I was just making sure you were on the same page as me. But it's just so funny because I feel like an open door is harder than a closed door. So closed door, it's like, well, that was done. Like, it's kind of like the internship or like the school of ministry. It's an open door, and God opened that door, but we don't have to walk through it. Like that's what our free will is. We're not puppets in this like world that he's created for us. Like we have our own free will to walk through it. If we don't walk through it, that's on us. You know what I mean? Like there could be an amazing opportunity or an amazing life on the other side. And not that on this side is going to be a bad life. Yeah. But we can't really blame God if we're like not where we think that we're supposed to be in life whenever there was an open door and we didn't walk through it.
Good, yeah.
And so it's just an interesting, like side by side. And I feel like that is hard in your 20s because I don't remember who said it. It was some reel, I'm sure. But I saw a meme and it was like me saying like, I think I read this somewhere, and it was like me watching TikTok.
It's so true, bro. It's literally so true. It's like, when's the last time I've read something?
No, I literally,
like, I'm not a reader. I'm sorry, I'm not.
And no, I watched the news the other day and I was like, I know now why I don't watch this. This is horrible. But they were like, your 20s is meant to like find yourself or something like that. Your 30s is when you're building your business, and your 40s and 50s is when like you're building wealth or something like that. It was like supposed to be an encouraging thing. And I was like, golly, that just makes you feel like your 20s is just gonna be such a bummer. Yeah. And so I don't think that there's like a certain roadmap for anything. Like I think we are just called to just be like walking through the doors that God opens for us, and then just like hustling as hard as we can.
For sure. Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. You posting about your first year of marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Because we kind of have the same, like you put into words like exactly how I felt.
Well, it's so real. Molly, we were at Bible study last night at Molly's Heart's house, and on Valentine's Day from the stage, she had said that when they spoke. Do you remember that message?
Yes,
it was
yes,
so good.
yes.
She had said that as they were looking back at like their years of marriage, that there hasn't been a season that they didn't have conflict in. And so I asked her about it. I was like, what do you mean by that? I've been dying to ask you. And so we were just talking about it, and Olivia Stencil was like also, or Arias, she's whatever.
Yeah.
I like do not call my best friends by their new last names.
It's so hard.
I can't do it.
It's
like,
so hard.
It's just, I forget. So anyways, she was saying like reading the post, my post that I made, we were talking about it. And I was like, it's so true though, because people love to cram that down your throat. Not here.
Oh.
I never got that here.
No.
But outside of these
It's like
four
a
walls,
universal.
Oh yeah. It's like, seriously, like I was frightened.
Yeah.
I was scared. Like,
well, and it's funny. I think
very
so
scared.
too. Like in the church, we normally don't live together before marriage.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so funny because the world convinces you like you need to try it out, make sure it works. But then they're the ones that are saying that first year of marriage is hard.
Yeah.
It's like I thought that's what trying it out was supposed to.
Was for. I thought it was supposed to negate all that.
Yeah.
Like,
But now you're saying
Yeah.
it's just bad all around.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
yeah. Well, no, that's like literally it. It's just crazy. And I feel like it's a direct.
And so what did she say about the conflict?
She said that it's not, she was like in the kingdom, like the Bible talks about conflict so many times, like ironing, sharpening iron, like putting on your armor of God. Like all of that is getting ready to fight, And so she was saying, or like for conflict, she was like, it's not a bad thing. She was like, that doesn't mean we're arguing or like fighting nonstop. She's like, it's oftentimes like just not seeing eye to on something and coming into agreement.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, yeah, that's really good, because I was really bracing myself. Like seriously. And it wasn't, I didn't feel like that my whole engagement season. It was more towards the end.
Yeah.
And like,
well, yeah, because
I was like,
feel real.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody in my family has been divorced. My parents are currently divorced. It's just,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And so, yeah, just seeing that is like, you're kind of like, like, what am I, whatever. And I knew, like me and Reed's story, I knew that I made the right decision in choosing him. Like I knew that he was going to be an amazing husband.
So it has nothing.
It had nothing to do with him.
No.
It was everything to do with like not fully surrendering to what the Lord had for me. And I knew, like, I was about to step into this new season, into like an open door, if you will.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
No, like it's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, and I just also feel like you like learn what you like. It's talking about your family and like how they're all divorced and things like that. Like Dawson came from a very different background than I did, and he had been, I'm trying to say this in the correct way, he had been shown not the best, like, womanly, the things that women can do. Women and men can both do bad things.
Yes.
And I think he saw both sides to that, but I never saw, growing up in church, I had never met a woman who had cheated on her husband.
Yeah.
Or at least that I knew.
Yes.
I never, I had not even really, I didn't even know really you could do that. Like it just never like came.
That's so funny.
Up.
You never even thought about it.
Never even thought about it. He had been shown that in a couple different areas of his life of just like women being untrustworthy, I guess is the right way to put it.
Yes, yeah.
And so he went into our relationship with that in mind. And I really struggled with that because I'm like a very loyal person.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I felt like he was not expecting me to be loyal, or like he was not trusting me fully. Yes. I was hurt by it because I'm like, well, are you saying I'm not loyal?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a loyal person.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm committing to you.
Right, yeah.
And I can show you me not committing to you. Like I remember telling him, like, if I wanted to be with somebody else, I am fully fine with breaking up with you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think.
You're like, don't flatter yourself.
Do you think I'm scared? Like, I'll do it right now. Like, I was so, and that is how like offended I was though. Like, I was just like, I would never do that. Like, and I feel like we had a lot of fight, and I just never knew. I did not know that he had been experienced that, and I don't even think he realize that that's where it was coming from.
Things come up like you just don't even realize that it's something that you struggle with until you're married and you're like, oh.
Exactly.
It's
like
very exposing.
I don't like to fight. I don't want to sweep anything under the rug.
Yes.
I'm like, if there's something we need to work out, let's work it out. And he would just be like silent. And I'd be like, you can't just be silent. Like you have to talk to me and all this stuff. Like, And he was like, well, I don't want to yell and scream at you. And I'm like, you can yell and scream. That's fine. I will take, I can take it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm yelling at you. Like, but I just like need to
so
know.
funny,
I was just feeling I wasn't getting all the information.
Yeah.
And he
You're
was
like,
like,
I need the insight because I can't help if I don't know.
yes.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I'm not going to ever let myself get to the level where I'm so mad that like I can't control myself. I'm going to like wait, breathe it out by myself and come back and I was just like, well, I don't know. Like, I want to be able to see you mad and all this stuff. And he was like, no, you see me mad. You're just going to see me walk away mad. And then I'm going to come back and be calmed down. And he was like, because I come from a line of like, not just of divorce, like I come from a line where like men don't control their anger. Yeah. And like, I'm never going to let myself get to that point.
Yeah.
And so where like, I never saw, I mean, my dad has never laid his hands on any of us ever. Like it just, and so I'd never even seen that. And no one in the church. Like, so that's what's funny too, is I feel like there's sometimes that pastors' kids, going back to this first question, pastors' kids are like, well, we're so, what's the word? Protected or
sheltered.
Sheltered. We're so sheltered. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good thing.
No, for
like,
sure.
Let's
normalize not having childhood trauma.
Yeah, like, let's normalize that.
I don't know why that's
Let's
not normal.
not say that it's a bad thing that your dad didn't beat your mom and your mom cheated on your dad.
Speaking from experience, like let's normalize not having that.
Let's normalize that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is it wasn't even just growing up. It was like a lot of my friends, their parents are married. A lot of like everyone in the church, it was like they're married. Like it just, and so, but I feel like that was an interesting, just like unpacking like, oh, so you're not just trying to get out of having these hard conversations with me. Like you've seen inappropriate behavior in men.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm fine with that.
You're trying to handle it differently than what you've seen.
Walk away. Great.
Yeah.
I think you should.
Great.
I think you should walk away.
Yeah.
And like, and then it was just kind of one of those things that it was like, you're just gonna have to trust me. Like, I cannot, and we realized this before we got married. So that was a good thing too. Cause it was like, and so I feel like that was great. We also had a season that we broke up. We broke up for like a month. And I think that helped a lot. Yeah. I'm not saying everybody should break up. I'm not saying you have to.
Everybody's on their own journey though, for sure.
Exactly. I feel like it was good for us to like recenter and redecide like we do want each other. Yeah. And it's not just like we dated for a year. We did the internship together. We waited so long to date because you can't date in the internship. So I feel like that was kind of like a lackluster kind of thing. And then we started dating and it was just kind of like, is this really what we want? Or is this just like something we waited so long for and like all the stuff? And we realized it was. And then it was great. Yeah. But I feel like it's the first year of marriage, any year, like, and just like what Molly was saying, like, I think anything is going to come with conflict and it's going to come with like, but I think that also can be like the most fun part. Cause it's like, now I know so much more about Dawson. This is going to sound so cheesy. I hope he doesn't listen to this. I was listening to a song and it was like, the song was like, I think it was Rascal Flatts because I've been on a big Rascal Flatts kick. I've been on a big Rascal Flatts kick. But it was like, I want to know everything about you was essentially what it was saying. Yeah. And I just thought like, I need to like ask Dawson more questions because like we've been married 4 years. So long. We know so much.
That is crazy.
You know what I mean? No,
it flies by. Like I cannot believe y'all been married.
It is crazy. We've been married for 4 years. But I feel like you can also get into like where it's like, well, we've been married for 4, we've been together for 6, like, you know what I mean? Or like whatever, however long it is. And it's like, well, I know everything about you and all this stuff. And I was just like, I feel like I do, but like we were in Dawson's hometown last week and I was just like, so where like, I know you've shown me before, but like, is this where you went to high school or is like this way, you know? And he's just like talking and like saying different things. He's like, this is where my best friend used to live and like all this stuff. And it's just like, I think that you can, not even just about like your childhood, but you can even talk like, I think that's how we got to the decision of like, that we were open to opportunity and things like that. Like, because we just talked about it. Yeah. Like it was like, what do you want your life to look like? Yeah. And I think sometimes, especially in like this day and age in this world, like when you pick in your 20s, like you leave college or you're done with college and you pick a career. And I think a lot with, especially with guys, that it's like, well, you need to climb the ladder in this career. And like that, and what you pick is what you've picked.
What you're saying, and yeah.
And I think that that's great sometimes, especially if you pick what you're passionate about. I think that's great. But I just think it's wild that we expect 18-year-olds to go to college and to pick a major and that they're going to do for the rest of their lives. And I feel like sometimes that's why a lot of 40-year-old men are unfulfilled and they're like, okay, I'm making the money I want to make. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm married to a great woman. I have phenomenal children. We have a beautiful life. Like, why am I feeling unfulfilled? Why am I feeling like I need to have a midlife crisis or like whatever? And I think it's because it's like, it's okay. It's great if what you do is what you want to do for the rest of your life. I think that's great. But I don't think that we should like shame men or shame people, even in just being like, I want to try something else.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I think that, and like with girls, like we are raised our whole life and we go to college and we get married and we're expected to stay home with kids.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time, which is a blessing. I mean, that is the purpose of my life is to raise my children, and I want them to be great children, have great childhoods and all that.
Yeah.
But I do think that sometimes the devil can come in and convince women that either like that's not important or that what they're doing is not important, making a home is not important. And I think that is so important.
Yeah.
But I also think that like our capacity is so much more than that. Like
absolutely,
we can do so much more. And I'm not even saying you can have a career and be a mom. You can do that. But I'm not saying like you have to go and get a job. But like there are different things like Molly is a perfect example. Molly's an elder. She's an elder at a church that she's been in. She has put in so much time and so much ministry and so like put in so much of her life into this church. So now she's an elder. She is a stay-at-home mom. Like she does those things. She gets to do everything at her house. She's on the PTO. She's all of that stuff. But she also has Bible study at her home for like young girls. And like she can still pour into people. And so she never has to have a time where it's like, well, what is my purpose? It's like, are these like once all of my kids are now in elementary school and I'm still raising them, but now I have most of my hours in the day. What do I do with that? What am I like? She's not thinking that because she has known what her purpose is this whole time. And so I think it's just like, it's exciting because you can just make your life whatever you want it to be. And you can find
it really frees you up, like following the Lord frees you to do so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we can box ourselves in. And I was big on that. Like Dawson, he moved to Oklahoma because his grandmother just passed away and his grandfather just like needed help. Yeah. So he had moved here. He was 18, knew no one except for his immediate family that was here or extended family that was here, and like got a job and then started coming to church. He started the internship like 4 months after he moved here. And then we started dating and he was a GA here, and we randomly heard about this ORU baseball tryout. Yeah. Okay. So he had been a baseball player, and I am big on no regrets. I would much rather be like, hey, listen, you have aged out. You are not good. You probably weren't good when you were in your prime. Don't come back here. Yeah. I'd rather hear that than be 40 years old and be like, why didn't I try this?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm big on that. So I told Dawson, I was like, you need to go and at least try it. Like the worst thing they can say is like, no. You're 22 and you haven't thrown a baseball in 3 years. Like let's find a different path. Yeah. And he's like, okay. And so we had talked to these people at church, and they were like, that's another thing. Church brings you opportunity. So like if there's ever a reason to be in church, it is because of the people that are in that church. So there is so much opportunity, especially at Guts. I mean, we are like a business owner church, but it just is like everything you need is here. And so if you need opportunity, maybe just go to church a little bit more and you'll find some. But anyways, that's a little excerpt. But he knew about this tryout. It was like for high school kids. It wasn't for anybody. Yeah. But he knew a guy that worked there. And so he was like, just go. I'll text the coach that you're going to be there. And so he had literally not thrown a baseball, like seriously thrown a baseball in like 3 years. Yeah. And so we go to
he was a pitcher?
Yeah, he was a pitcher. Was the quarterback. Like, that's what that feels like. Like I was the pitcher. And so I we went and found this like random, it was at like 51st and Mingo. I don't even know what it was called, but we paid like $60 for an hour. And he pitched to me and like to the net, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was a catcher in 4th grade, but that's about it. And so he like pitched all this stuff, and he's like, I mean, it's as good as it's gonna get, like 12 hours and before. And he got there early. He was like the typical Dawson. And this is what like, where it's like, God will make a way for you, or like your works, like your personality, like what God has given you. Like God made Dawson a hard worker. He made him disciplined. Honestly, Dawson's kind of like Brooklyn. Now that I think about it. Like, oh. But you know, what God has given you, that's what's going to make a way for you. And so he got there early. He like beat the coaches there. So he like introduced himself as they were like unlocking whatever it was. And he went in and he was like helping, like he like didn't know what to do because there was like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he like picked up the weight room, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God.
He was just like, I was nervous. So I just was like moving around and stuff. And so he went out and he pitched, and he was like, I was with these 17-year-olds, like just
like this full-grown man.
Literally, it's just like, hey, buddy, want to come to GYC? But and so he like pitched, and Fulmer was like, hey, listen, I'll let you come on, like, you know, I'll give you a little bit of scholarship, like whatever. And so he's pumped. He's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Goes through this whole long months process. Finally gets to the end. Like I thought, like, how are your grades? Like I don't know him then. Like, and he's like, not great. I don't think they're gonna be great. And so I didn't even think he'd get into ORU, but he like got in. He got a great scholarship, like all this different stuff. And so everything that I thought would be a hurdle was not. And I was like, crazy. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get to go there. It's gonna be amazing. And then he did the like last thing, which was like his NCAA like portal. And so for the NCAA, your clock starts when you graduate high school or when you start the next.
Okay.
So like he did both pretty much. So his clock started when he started right out of high school.
Okay.
And so he only had 2 years left to be able to play.
Yeah.
And he technically would have had to like redshirt or sit out that first year because when you transfer through baseball, through the NCAA, you have to sit for a year and then you can play. So he would have only been able to play for 1 year. And I remember him being like, I just don't feel like that's worth it. Like, I just don't know if that's worth it. And who even knows if I will be able to play? Like, these people are phenomenal, like all this stuff. So I'm like, okay. And so the coach, I just think, felt really bad because it had been like a month, just like all of this. And it was like one of those things that he was like, we could have found this out a couple months ago. I didn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Yeah. And Dawson's like, no big deal. Just like happy to have done it. Thanks for the opportunity, And he was like, hey, I'm going to call like an NAIA coach that I'm friends with in Bartlesville. Maybe he has a spot open there. And Dawson's like, I think he was just saying that to be nice. You know what I mean? Like he just feels bad, whatever. But he like actually called. It was with Oklahoma Wesleyan. And so he pretty much did the whole thing over again. Like went to another tryout and all this stuff. Went to Oklahoma Wesleyan and ended up, like, it's wild. I don't even know what brought me into like talking about this, but like, it's just wild what you can realize. Like he knew he wanted to play baseball. He thought that ORU was a closed door and like, that's it. And then he got to go and he ended up being like the ace pitcher. Yeah. And it was a great like opportunity. It was a great time and he fulfilled that desire of his heart. Yeah. And I think it's just like, you have to step out, especially when you're in your 20s, you're trying to build your life and maybe you don't even know what you want to do. Yeah. But like you have to find that out and step out and just try. Yeah. Because the worst thing that can happen is they say no and then you're back to where you were. Yeah. And I feel like that's what our 20s are for. And I even feel like even when you are married and have a family, I mean, Dawson's completely changing his career, but he's been wanting to do this for 4 years. Yeah. It was a closed door 4 years ago. And it ended up being the process of him getting this job was like doors were flying open.
It wasn't so crazy.
Yes. And
like, so crazy.
4 years ago, the same exact job that like, and he has the same, like he didn't get a new degree. He didn't get anything like that. Like it's the same exact Dawson just 4 years later. Yeah. And so sometimes it's even just the timing of things. And I think we can be discouraged and we can be disappointed, but I think we have to push through that and just like keep going because what comes out on the other side of that is the perfect will of God for your life. And that is the goal. And that's what's going to bring people into the kingdom. And so it's exciting. And it's his first day there.
Yeah.
And
right now?
Right now.
Oh my God.
He's literally right now. First day there.
Crazy.
And so I think he's excited and like ready, but like, I think that's what's so cool. Like the internship, like I love that we have so many people of different ages in the internship, and they have varying degrees and they have varying, I mean, it's like, and they could be in ministry and they could not be in ministry. And it doesn't matter. What matters is you don't know what's going to become the outcome of what happens.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Like it's like your sacrifice and your obedience is going to bring you that promise.
It's so true.
But you can also have fun. The internship was like one of the best years of my life. It's kind of like the first year of marriage.
Yeah.
It's, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I met my best friends. I met my husband. And so there really is no risk of it. It's like the risk is what you're giving a year of your life to God's house.
It's so true.
Like, take guts out of it. It's like, that's the best thing you could do. And so I just think my life has been a perfect testament, like a testimony of like being in church your whole life, but like, not that it was perfect, not that it was like amazing all the time, but I really don't look back on any time of my life and just think like, oh, what a bummer. Like, I hated that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also, I think some of it is like just trying to be ignorant. Like I think sometimes our feelings mislead us.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my dad about this because we were watching this message on YouTube and they talked about how like God's not going to give you more than you can handle. And he was just like, I hate when people say that. You know, he was like, I hate when people say that. Like what, that is not scriptural. And I was like, I really feel like that people say that not to like take scripture out of context. Like I don't think they're trying to lead people astray. But I think that is pushing into like our feelings more. It's like whenever you feel overwhelmed, it's a feeling.
Yes.
So it's like, oh my gosh, I can't take anything more on because I'm already overwhelmed right now. And it's like, sometimes you have to ignore your feelings because if you say that, then you can say no to an opportunity and that is totally fine. But then you can't blame God on the other side.
It's so true.
Whenever you don't have that opportunity. And I even think that like with moving, it's been a desire in my heart my whole life.
Yeah.
Whether it's Wonderlust, Bill Shear, or not, it's been a desire my whole life. I've been so excited. And there's been so many times in this process that my joy could have gotten stolen.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what a bummer if I would have let that happen. Yeah. Because it is something I have desired and I have wanted and we have put in the work for it. And it's something that we deserve. Like, I'm like, and I think that sometimes just like our feelings can just take that away from us. And I think that God's up there like, no, just like stop.
Yeah.
Just like, you are human, but you're also God.
Yeah.
You were made in the image of God. We have the Holy Spirit within us. It's like almost like lean into that Holy Spirit more than you're leaning into your human flesh feelings. Because it's like that can take away the joy. You could be living what is supposed to be the best time of your life, what is meant to be the best time of your life. But when you're leaning into your feelings, it's just going to take that away. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm overwhelmed. Well, I have to move. Like, I've never lived there. What Wi-Fi is there? Literally. Yeah. Like that was one thing that was stressing me out. Is I was like, Cox isn't there. Verizon doesn't reach there. I don't know what Wi-Fi we're going to use. And Dawson's like, how about I handle it? Okay. I'll figure out the Wi-Fi. Yeah. But it's just like so funny that it's like the devil can use small things. Yeah. But it'll steal your joy. Yeah. It will. And it'll steal it quick and he'll keep it.
Yeah. Little foxes spoil the vine.
Yes.
They do.
And if you don't go to try to take that joy back, you won't get it back.
Yeah.
He's not just going to give it back to you. And so I think encouraging yourself in the Lord is huge in that. And I think speaking things is so important. Yeah. Like Golden last night, I sent a voice message to Dawson of her like good night prayer. And I was shocked. But every night I have her like repeat, like, you're the head and not the tail. Yeah. You're above and never beneath. Greater is he is in you than he is in the world. No weapon formed against me will prosper, but everything I put my hand to will. And she said it word for word on her own, like without me prompting it. And she's 3 years old. Yeah. And I was just like in shock. Like in the voice message, I was like, did you hear that? That was amazing. Like, but I'm just like, she has no idea what she's saying. She has no clue. Like, she just knows that it's making me happy that she's saying it. But what she's saying matters. Yeah. And it is she is speaking it. She's speaking the word. And that's already going to change her life as a 3-year-old.
Oh, for sure.
It just is, it's incredible. And I was listening to the Durans. They did a podcast with Dawn Cherie. And Pastor Denny said, the word says to train up your children. It doesn't say to parent them up. It says to train them up. And so he was like, I've been a coach my whole life, so that's all I know how to do. Like, I'm going to build you up, but I'm going to tell you how to correct it. Because if you don't correct it, you're going to make us lose the game. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like in life. Yeah. Like, it's like, I'm going to build you up and tell you what you're doing phenomenal, but I'm also going to correct what you're not doing phenomenal because I want you to win in life. Yeah. And so I feel like that's in marriage. Yeah. Like, that's another thing that people deal with in marriage is like, I remember telling Dawson, I'm like, you can be offended or you can realize we're on the same team and I'm trying to help you. Yeah. Like, that shirt and those shorts don't go together. So funny. And that hurts I understand. It hurts. That hurts. One, I don't really want you to be a good dresser on your own. Yeah. That's what I'm supposed to help you with. Yeah. I think it's great when guys are into fashion, but I think it's okay. Yeah. But like, either you can get offended and be not coachable, so then we don't make ourselves better at all. Yeah. Or we can realize we're on the same team and you looking good makes me look good and we're going to look great together and then you're going to get a great opportunity because you were dressed well for it. Yeah. And so it just, I feel like it all goes in together, but like anytime we lean into our feelings, that's just like done. And that's kind of the whole of all of it. Like growing up, like, can't lean into your feelings. Yeah. Whenever things come, because every we live in the world, so there's always going to be something. Yeah. But you just can't lean into them. You got to lean into your spirit side because that's how we're supposed to live anyway.
No, it's so true. I think it's so cool because, like, even you, I remember the last time you were on the podcast with Dawson, me, you, and Cole. You had said your whole entire, this was like prior, obviously, to y'all probably even thinking about moving. Like, that was in the fall. That wild? Yeah, that's so crazy. You were saying, like, my whole entire life.
That was in January?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, because we were talking about like vision. It was January. Yes. Yeah. We had not even, this was like not even a thought.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And now, like, if you would have gone then, you would have been on your own, which, granted, probably would have been fun and all this stuff. Yeah. But now you're like building a life with your husband, with your 2 kids. They're going to have like, you're creating a new home and new memories. And like, it's exciting. Like, it's an answered prayer. It's like the promise that you were like clinging to, like a dream of yours. Yes. But fulfilled in a completely different way. And way more abundant. Like,
so much.
Do you know
more.
what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Well, just the favor that you've had, like hearing you talk about the people that you've had connections with.
It's crazy.
Like, it's literally one of those things you look at and you're like, this could only be God. Like,
no, truly.
There's no other explanation than the Lord, you know?
Well, and the favor of God follows you wherever you go. Like, when we were looking for a house, we were looking for a rental house, and it was wild. Yeah. I'm like going on, I don't know the good area there. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is, and that is just, you know, obviously I want to go somewhere safe because we have kids, things like that. So I'm just like, good Lord, like, where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do? So like going on Zillow, looking at all these houses, all these leads are like either going to nothing or it just makes no sense. And I'm like, how are we going to find a place to live? Like, are we going to have to live like in an apartment? Which is like fine. And I would have done it, but I'm just like,
you want a backyard for the kids.
I'm like, oh gosh. And so I applied for this house, and all of the renters want you to come and tour it. Yeah. Obviously. Because it's like, they want to make sure you're not a scam. You want to make sure they're not a scam, all stuff. Well, I'm like, well, we don't live there, and we're doing it sight unseen. Like, that's what we're doing. And so a lot of people were like, well, that's weird. Like, why do you want to do that? And so the girl messaged me on Zillow, and she was like, I'm going to be at the house tomorrow. Do you want me to FaceTime you to show you the house? And I was like, that would be awesome. So she FaceTimes me, and it's not that house. It's a different house. And she was like, this is actually just a different rental that I have. It's not on Zillow yet, but I think it's going to be in a better area because I saw in your application you have 2 kids. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And it's like a bigger house. It was perfect. I mean, it's the perfect house. It's amazing. She was like, okay, great. Well, I can just use the same application. She like FaceTimed me the whole entire like empty house. Gosh, it was so sweet. And I sent her the deposit, and it all worked out. And so we met her there, and we're like she's showing us the house, and we're about to start moving all our stuff in, and she's like, it really is amazing that this worked out the way it did. And I was like, yeah, like it really, it was awesome. And she goes, yeah, I had 86 applications for that other house that I was going to FaceTime you for. And I was like, oh my gosh. She goes, yeah, it's a wild market. Like, I don't even, like, this is just amazing that I don't even know why I decided to message you and ask you if I wanted to FaceTime. Like, I had 80 other people that were going to come and tour that house.
Oh my word.
And I was like, yeah. And the whole time I was thinking like, it's because it was God.
Yeah.
You're like,
I know why.
I'm favored.
Yeah.
So you wanted to message me. You want me to rent from you. And she was like, I think it's because I knew you were out of town. I like out of town renters, what she said. And I'm thinking, no, I'm favored. You want and so it's just amazing walking in that. And it's like, and I never felt stressed that we weren't going to get a house. But now looking back, I'm like, how did I not feel stressed?
Yeah.
How in the world was that not like a stressor? And it wasn't. And I just think it's crazy. And it's crazy thinking about that podcast because like we were talking about favor and we were talking about like vision for your life.
Yeah.
And I was saying it to like encourage the viewers, you viewers. I was saying it to like encourage, but like I ended up walking it out in my own life. Yeah. Which I should. I mean, obviously if I'm telling other people to do it, I should. But I just think it's so cool that like you don't even know, but like God is working things out for you and
like literally 2 months later or for whatever it was.
No, yeah. Well, 2 months later is when he started the interview process. Like it's just crazy. Yeah. And had no idea. And I don't think that, I think sometimes people wait for something bad to happen or like to get miserable in your job. Like Dawson was like, this is my dream job here working at the church. Like it has nothing to do with that. Like there's like 8 people that want Dawson's job right now. And he's like, typical, like typical, like whatever. Like they're not even going to miss me because they're already going to have someone better. But like, it has nothing to do with that. He didn't love his job here, anything like that. It's just, you have to be open to God, like being a lamp under your feet and a light under your path. Like he's lighting the path for you so you can walk in it. Yeah. And it doesn't, not just because it has to get miserable. It's like, you don't just have to, I don't know, go to the dentist whenever you need a root canal. You can go and get teeth cleanings and never have a root canal. Yeah. So it's amazing. That's how it can be with God too in your life. Yeah. You don't have to get into a really bad place to go and find your purpose. Like you can find it wherever you're at. Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's wild.
I love it. I'm so excited for y'all.
Gosh, it's going to be
So
crazy.
when's your official like move?
So Dawson's there for 3 weeks right now. And then he comes back here to train for 2 weeks. Yeah. And so I think it's going to be like the first weekend in June is when we're going to officially like drive out there. Yeah. And like be done out there. We have to drive again because we didn't take my car. Yeah. Because I needed one here. So.
Yes, obviously, yeah.
But yeah, that drive is a doozy. I'm glad there's 5 weeks until we have to do it again.
Well, last week when we were in staff meeting and y'all were in Kentucky or whatever, and I had you on the phone, I like obviously ended, like the staff meeting ended and I was like, okay, bye, I love you. And he's like, who is that? I'm like, Kennedy, whatever. You hung up the phone and he was like, Golden has really been clinging on to me. And I was like, yeah. He's like, it's so crazy. Like, she just knows. Like, he was like, we were watching a movie last night and she had her legs over me, way more touchy than she normally is. Like, she knows. And I was like, no. I was like, yeah, I can't even imagine. Like, that's probably so hard for you. Like, your grandbabies are leaving. Like, that's so sad. But he was like, she knows. She knows.
They feel like it is a personal attack that I am taking their grandchildren away from them, literally.
That is so crazy.
Like, it's wild. But we're living with them for these next 3 weeks. Yeah. And they are eating it up.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, and Golden.
Such special time.
She is eating it up. She woke up this morning and goes, where's Reverend Queenie? I'm
like, oh my gosh, that's so cute.
They're sleeping downstairs. Yeah. You don't need them right now. I'm your mother. Yeah. I'm getting. She's like, I need to go see if they need me. Yeah. But she's living.
Did you like officially tell her? Like, did you tell her we're moving? Like,
I try to.
But it's like, what can you do?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure like kids obviously have the Holy Spirit inside of them too.
Yes.
Like they know. Like they have a little spirit that like starts shifting,
Well, and she's definitely my kind of personality. So like when we were going to church on Sunday, I was like, we're gonna go to church and you're gonna see your friends. And she was like, I see Annie. And I was like, no, Annie's not gonna be there, but you're gonna meet new friends. It's gonna be so fun. And she's like, Yeah, new friends. And so then she like really hung on to the new friends.
That's sweet.
So then she went to church. She loved it. We left. She did leave and was like, ice cream? And I was like,
oh, that's a dagger. Your dad's gonna love that.
Oh, he literally was like, yes.
He's like, that's
amazing. I was
amazing.
like, no, there's no ice cream here. That's at home.
Oh, shoot.
But so we were driving to school today, and I was like, are you excited to see your friends? And she goes, I want to see my new friends. Like, so she does I think she's my kind of personality.
Yeah,
where she's like,
for sure.
Even if it doesn't, I'm not fully excited for it, I'm going to make myself excited.
That's sweet.
So she's like, I want to see my new friends. Yeah. And I was like, we can want to see all of our friends.
Yeah.
We can want to see our friends.
Everyone is our friend.
Yeah. Everyone is our friend.
Yeah.
But so I don't think she fully knows, but I don't even know if kids realize that they're like in a different place.
Yeah. It's so
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And so, yeah, I think she's excited, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be a transition.
Yeah.
A great transition.
Yeah. I'm excited for you.
It'll be fun.
So in closing, do you have any like last words, anything you've learned in this season, like biggest word of encouragement?
I would definitely say that my biggest like advice right now would be, if you don't know right off the bat, like we had a special speaker come in and they pulled somebody up and said, what is your number one thing that you want from God right now? What do you believe in God for, is what they said. And they had an answer, but I think that their flesh and like what was in their brain was having them stop from doing that. It's like, well, I want to make more money. It's like, well, that seems greedy. Or I want a house. Well, that seems like too much. You need or whatever. Yeah. So they were like pausing, and he literally was like, okay, well, you can go sit down. Like, there's just so much. It was in a very expectant service, is what I should say. And so like, it's cool whenever you get pulled up in those kind of service, but because of that, he didn't have anything to work with, essentially.
Yeah.
And so I just remember seeing that and thinking like, I never want to be in that position.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's like, what do you believe in God for right now? I want to be able to be like, a new car. I want a new car. That's what I want right now. I want a brand new car. I want a blacked out Yukon.
Yeah.
I want it to be able to fit all my kids' things. I want to have to not get another new car for 20 years because it's at 0 miles and I can drive it till it dies.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to know like what I want, and not even just like material things, but like know like the desires of your heart. Like every year when I create like my vision, whatever, moving is always on there.
Yeah.
Or just like experiencing a new place.
That's so crazy.
It's always on there. And
that's
even
wild.
when I don't even think that's what I actually want.
Yeah.
It's always on there. Cause I'm just like, it's just always been what comes back to mind every time I think about that. And so you just may not even know the reason that you're writing it down, but like what I told the school administrator, I was just like, you just need to have a piece of paper. You need to pray and be like, God, for the next 5 minutes, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not going to pray about anything else. I'm not going to talk to anyone else. I'm not looking at my phone. All you're going to do is bring to remembrance and tell me what the desires of my heart are.
Yeah.
And he's faithful to do that.
Yeah.
And then you write down anything that comes to your mind. Anything, even if it sounds stupid. I want a new Louis Vuitton purse. I don't care however it feels. Do not negate anything. And then I think you can look at that piece of paper, and I would like pin it somewhere that you see every single day. And I think it's cool because then a month, 2 months, a year, 10 years later, you can look back and be like, all of those, God. Mm-hmm. I remember Brooklyn one time saying, I wrote down everything I was believing for, and like 3 months later, all of it came to pass. Like she was like, I have to start. She goes, it made me like, oh my gosh, what else should I be believing for?
Yeah.
Like I should be believing for way more than this. Like, and I think that is how we're meant to live. It's like he's our father. And I don't think any father like wants their child to be a spoiled brat, but like that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like good dads spoil their kids.
Yeah.
They make them great kids and they correct them or discipline them when they're acting like a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
But they still are going to spoil them. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think God's like, no, I'm not going to give you another one because I don't want you to be too greedy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I think he can correct you without doing that.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
I think he can correct you and still give you the desires of your heart and still give you the perfect will of God that he wants you to live. Yeah. And so I just think don't let the devil or even like yourself take away the promises and the desires of your heart that you're meant to have.
Yeah.
Because that's all that's holding it back. It's not God. It has to be you or the devil working through you or whatever, through your thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like my biggest thing, because it just excites you and it gets you, it's like, oh my gosh, I got this dream job. I'm literally living out what I've been dreaming. It's like, now I want everyone to live that way.
Yeah.
I want everyone to feel this way.
Yeah.
And then that's what gets people into the kingdom.
For sure.
It's like, I think fun events and, you know, free gift cards and free food and things like that. Like, yes, it could get people in.
Yeah.
But I think getting them to that, like, no, this is tangible.
Yeah.
This isn't just like God hovering over you and ready to smite you whenever you do something wrong. Like, you can live a phenomenal life and that's also where the overflow comes from. God's giving you more than enough because it overflows onto other people.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing.
Yeah.
But it's overflowing because then like, people are in the splash zone. Like, they get the water on them too.
Yeah.
And that's what we're supposed to do. It's not always for us.
Yeah.
It's for other people.
Yeah.
And so I would just like, don't limit God and don't limit yourself, because you can do great things, and whether you're qualified for it or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
God's the one that ultimately qualifies you. And so, yeah, I'm excited, but
I'm so excited
I
for you.
Here. I hope this has been good.
Yeah, it's been so good. We're gonna have to have you back when you're like in town and get a life update.
Guys, I would love it. I can tell you about all my new friends.
This is so crazy.
If you live in the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area,
please stop
DM
by.
me.
It's so
Stop
crazy.
by, say hi. Yeah.
Okay, we'll love it. Love
love
you
it.
so much.
Yeah, of course.